Normally, whoa, hold on, forget the pithy intro. We've got minerals queuing up for our Zerg player. I think we're starting off with a 12 pool. I've learned what to watch for when it's a game with Bly. Pool goes down, and whatever happens, the next 2.5 minutes will be very interesting. Our Protoss player's not some MaNa, he's a MaNa!
Current world rank 32.
MaNa's made a low ground pylon and he's scouted immediately after. That's about as good as it gets for him. MaNa's a Polish player, currently playing for Team Liquid. Why am I saying currently? He's been a veteran of Team Liquid for like 6 years. Bly's got a stray drone out. That probe sees it. He doesn't see a hatch at the natural. And there's no unnatural natural either. MaNa's got to know something's up at this point. Bly's drone is headed for his opponent's base. And now he's got another one coming down the ramp. I think Bly's just faking that he's trying to take his natural. MaNa performs a pylon block, but I think that was a mistake. I think Bly's looking to do his hatch in the wall routine. Yes, he is. But MaNa's got a probe on patrol. That's good for a block. Bly's going to try to kill it. He needs that space. MaNa's not going to give it up. He knows he can't give it up. He puts down a pylon. Oh, that was good. And now he's got a second probe to aid in the fight. Cyber Core goes down. Bly gets the first blood, but his plan was foiled. Here comes plan B. He's going to take that natural. This is crazy. MaNa's chrono boosting a zealot, and he completes the wall. It's not tight, but it will be if that zealot acts as a door guard. Lings are on the way. It's the full 6 Lings. MaNa's scouting probe did get away. This is what a good scout does for you. It makes sure you've got that wall in time. The Lings are denied. They gotta try to bait out that zealot. That's gonna be hard because there's a second one already on the way. Bly's gonna try to make him nervous by gnawing on his buildings. MaNa's getting a little bit fancy with that zealot. Bly's gonna take advantage. He's gonna get some surface area on that zealot. Forget that. He's gonna get a complete surround on the second. Lings inside. 5 made it in. MaNa does have an adept on the way. That's some Zerg control on back order. Meanwhile, the 2 zealots are going to use their special DPS powers on that hatch. With 2 extra probes getting in on the action, I'm not sure if it's going to complete. Bly might have to cancel that. Meanwhile, the Lings are going to see how much they can slow down the Protoss mining. Probe pulls are good, kills are even better. But Mama Adept is on the scene. Bly thinks about fighting it, but decides to go for probe kills instead. There's the hatch cancel. And it's an Evo block instead. The Lings are cleaned up. The Evo is cancelled. 2 zealots. Oh, that drone is cornered. It's gonna die. A great defense by MaNa. And now Bly is behind. He's down 8 workers. But don't panic. Just remember, he's pretty Bly for a Zerg guy.
Current world rank 36.
You thought I was gonna forget, didn't you? Somehow, Bly managed to get more Lings inside. The explanation is that MaNa sent all his defense to attack. He's going to rely on his newly made adept to protect the home front. That's going to cost him an SCV and probably some mining time. But there's a good chance that his assault force could make it up. Winds up being 2 probe kills and a very nice scout. MaNa's scout sees there's still no third, and his natural's only about to complete now. Fortunately, Bly's up to 2 queens because he's really going to need them here. The adept shade is out. The queens don't bite. The Zerglings are going to pick it up though. And it's a fake. The queen can zone the Protoss out, but that drone going for the 3rd might be in peril. Peril confirmed. Oh, did MaNa not see it? No, he saw it. Bye-bye drone. Oh, he saves it with the extractor trick. Except that there's 2 zealots with nothing to do. They're going to kill it anyway. Doesn't really work when the Protoss DPS is that high. A second warp gate is going to complete the Protoss wall. But the real story is that there's a starport and a Twilight Council on the way. A second adept has joined this raiding party. And all of a sudden Zerg's forced to treat it much more seriously. The glass half full concept though is with less bases, Zerg has less ground to cover. There's a door challenge going on against an adept. That's going to be expensive. We've got simultaneous attacks here. Things are definitely action-packed. The Lings are late and there's not enough of them. MaNa sees it and lets the shade complete. He's gonna score from that. Bly hustles a queen over to try to stop the bleeding. Fortunately, he got his 3rd queen out, which means he has enough to push back those zealots. But he has to pull all the drones at his main And he's already lost 2 plus the 3 lings that were supposed to come to the rescue. The good news is that Bly will clean this up, but he is still down on drones and he is definitely down on tech. MaNa's got a Void Ray, which this sacking overlord is going to discover, but he's also starting resonating glaives at his Twilight Council. Oh, Bly got supply blocked. This is not a convenient time for that. The resonating glaives is interesting because there's not a lot of warp gates to support it and there's not a lot of adepts right now. It seems to be more of a supporting role. Mostly MaNa's putting his money into his starport. He started up an Oracle. Bly's gonna start his much delayed 3rd. He's still relying solely on Zerglings and Queens. I'm not sure how much longer that's gonna be sustainable. Protoss takes its 3rd base and is essentially now on even bases with the Zerg. Not a good position for Bly. Oh, and if this Void Ray gets the cancel, Protoss is actually gonna be ahead on bases. MaNa hits the switch for prismatic alignment. A hatchery is armored even when it's in mushy mode, so MaNa's doing extra damage. His DPS is something like 28 per second. I don't know why I said something like, it is 28, that one I know, because it's insanely scary. Bly's Queens need to save that hatch, they are way off creep, which is quite possibly what MaNa's plan is. He's got an Oracle looking to hit the other side. Suddenly Bly's Queens are stuck on hard ground. MaNa really taking advantage of the paucity of creep on the right side of Bly's base. Fortunately, Bly did save up the pennies for a Spore. That Oracle dive is doing damage, but it could have been so much worse. Only 1 drone kill. He put like love taps on 4 others. That Void Ray got away, and the Queens are gonna stay on it. Resonating Glaives is about to finish up, and +1 air is gonna start. Evo chambers are still a thing on Bly's wish list. Maybe he can get one for Christmas. Right now, he's focused on trying to get lair tech. Oh, the Queen's got a piece of that Oracle. So close to death, it's gonna settle for a tag. I think the Queens just got lucky there. They were out there to put down creep doomers. Bly does have a really high Queen count. He's up to a healthy 6. I keep watching for a big warp in of adepts, but it's not really coming. Oh, well there's 2. And they are pushing out. It's like a mini glaive timing. The real story for Protoss is that it's a double Stargate play. 2 Void Rays making right now. Also, MaNa's adding in that Robo. The early returns are that MaNa has been super efficient. And as a result, his army's almost triple the size of Bly's. If the Void Rays join the attack, this could be a really tough hold. Bly's like, I'm sure I killed that Oracle at least twice already. He's a real survivor. He's got the eye of the tiger. The Queens not only see the shade, they actually see the adepts. They're kind of like pretending they don't see the adepts. Oh, MaNa likes the numbers. He goes right into the mineral line. I think he's gonna get that Queen. I love this. This is like a glaive timing on a budget. And he's doing better than most glaive timings. Bly is just making his roaches now. And the problem is once he does, the Void Rays are gonna be waiting for those roaches. This is a nice combo. Are there enough Queens to get him out of this? Bly says yes. He hits his transfuses and chases off the voids. That means once the roaches spawn, they should be able to clean this up. I love how MaNa's Oracle sneaks a stasis ward right at the top of the ramp. Oh, and it hits too. That was a great idea. And he's gonna use the moment to recall out, except for 1 poor adept who didn't make it in the radius. 9 drone kills in total. Only losing 1 adept. That was a huge value attack for MaNa. And he's tech behind it too. He's gonna get his +1 air and a robotic support bay. Now, during the confusion, Bly did get an infestation pit. I don't know if that's just for hive tech or for mushroom men or perhaps another Nidus network, anyone? He's making a ton of overlords, so he might be planning to go heavy on the roaches. Oh, MaNa's efficiency has only gotten better. He is looking like a boss right now. Bly takes his 4th, but unfortunately nearby is a 2nd wave of Amazonian super adepts. He'll just have to hope they're busy doing Wonder Woman type things and they don't shut down his hatch. The Void Ray count is up to 7. There's actually more Voids than Queens right now. If you're Bly, that's the opposite of ideal. Quadruple Void Rays with prismatic alignment are gonna shut that hatch right down. Bly misses the cancel. And they're gonna get away. MaNa might even want to think about the Flux Veins upgrade. He's doing a lot of work with those Void Rays and they could be even more scary. Oh, and that Void Ray is still alive too. It's gonna get all showy and fly through the acceleration zone. Speaking of speedy things, Bly's gonna add roach speed. That's gonna shut down the adepts, but maybe not the Void Rays. MaNa hasn't stopped making them. He is, though, finally doing his much-delayed gateway explosion. He's going up to 6. Bly's finally higher on that worker count. Hey, got that pesky Oracle. You like to glow green so much, why don't you blow up? But the Oracle did pull a bunch of queens out of position. Bly's gonna show us what that infestation pit was actually for. It's crazy, but every now and then some Zerg player uses it to actually make infestors. MaNa's actually gonna hit 4 bases before Bly. In fact, Bly might not hit it at all. Oh, if that drone lands that hatch, oh he did. What a lucky skunk. This game has just been a frenzy. It's the classic Queen versus Void. Everybody thinks they've got it. MaNa realizes he's overstepped. It's gonna cost him more Void Rays. He'll settle for shutting down Bly's 4th. What really should be his 5th. Maybe roaches need a genetic mutation strain that includes necks, so they can actually shoot up. Look at how much work Bly has to go through to shut down this Void Ray. With his composition, a single Void can throw him into a tizzy. He's probably really wishing for a Hydra Den right now. Though as we've seen game after game, Hydras versus Voids really aren't as good as you'd think. But with their infestors, they could be. Okay, MaNa's kind of got Bly trapped in a bit of a death spiral here, where he's shutting down his 4th bases at both ends of the map. It's like a sleeper hold. And now that MaNa's got his own 4th up, he's out mining the Zerg. When you're out mining your opponent and battling with superior efficiency, it doesn't matter if your opponent has a supply lead, which he no longer does. And if you apply the roach conversion tax to see what Bly's supply really is, he's in even more trouble. Bly does have terrific creep spread, but now that there's an observer out, it's gonna get paired back something fierce. I don't want to say that Bly doesn't have awesome creep spread, but I've noticed that whenever I watch Zerg on Jagannatha, they always seem to have great creep spread. I think this map makes it look better than it is. Oh, Bly just lost a ton of queens to zealots, but MaNa did lose a bunch of Void Rays to Caustic Vials. Suddenly almost all of them. Is Bly actually gonna hold this? No, that hatchet's gotta go. It falls, but Bly's gonna make this very inefficient. The Protoss army is getting crushed, and that was a really expensive army. MaNa's gonna have to rebuild almost everything from scratch. The bank he built up coming into this fight just evaporates. The Warp Prism did save 1 disruptor. Bly's gonna have to keep an eye on where that is. He doesn't want him to drop a mini atomic bomb in the middle of his army. That was a nice little trap by MaNa there. Fortunately, Bly did spot it. I did think this game was over, but with that decisive win, Bly has bought himself some time. But now that he has to rebuild his queen count, these lone Void Rays are even more annoying than before. The Infestor runs out of energy and there's not much that Bly can do. The queens are on the case. Vials are up and they're dodged. Oh, the Void Ray's gonna get away. And by away, of course, I mean explode into a ball of blue plasma. It's the new recall visual. Yeah, that's it. Meanwhile, MaNa just keeps teching. He adds a Battle Duck and Warp Prism speed and even Flux Veins just to keep me happy. Oh, MaNa is so smart. He spotted the bumps on the backs of the roaches. That means Bly's researched the Tunneling Claws upgrade. So what does he do? He's just added 6 photon cannons and scattered them throughout his bases. And just in time, because Bly's going submarine style. Look how fast they go through the creep. This was a great idea by Bly, but I think MaNa remains a step ahead of him. Oh, is there an observer in that main army? There is not, but there is a 6 Zealot Warp in the Zerg main. The 2 queens are going to get overpowered and nobody cares about that spore. Bly has to pull his main army back to clean up. Disruptor Blast on the Infestors. Oh, he killed 3 of them. You know I'm going to want to check to see if that death animation was any good. The Infestors get their revenge with a Chain Fungal. Meanwhile, the Roaches got past the main army, but they are not getting a lot of probe kills because they have to deal with the photon cannons. MaNa's warping in High Templar. There's no Storm being researched yet, so I think we're looking at Archons. As soon as I say that, Storm starts up. Okay, the probe kills got up to 6. That's not bad. That wasn't a huge Roach investment. MaNa's gonna get back to even bases. Bly's dumping his gas into 22 Banelings. But Zerg fans have to worry they're not going to be efficient against Archons. And definitely not against the carriers that MaNa's now making. His double Stargate Void Ray opening lets him transition into carriers very easily late game. He's actually adding a 3rd Stargate. I mean, and why not? Fleet beacon tech stacks up pretty good against Roach. Bly's gonna try this submarine thing again. This time he's gonna send his roaches everywhere. Nice wide splits. MaNa has not replenished his cannons. Maybe Bly can get this to work. He is down on workers. This oversaturated base is potentially a prime target. MaNa does have 2 observers, one of which is nearby protecting that natural. The submarine assault is shut down there. On the bright side, Bly does at least get the scouting report that his opponent has officially gone Archon Immortal. Oh, this Roach found his way around the probes, but his shield battery's counteracting all his hard work. He's hitting the probes, but they just won't die. He's like, how is this possible? No micro required, the probes are just automatically rerouting themselves. For the record, those probes are not fleeing the Roach. They are Maynarding to MaNa's new base. Big Stalker warp in. MaNa's pretty close to maxing out at this point. He's gonna start looking to trade. Bly's starting a Spire. Even if he hasn't seen the carriers, he probably suspects they're coming. The clock is on him because MaNa is assembling that late game Protoss army. Well, now he's definitely seen the carriers because they're at his front gate, as well as the whole enchilada of a high-tech Protoss death ball. I've made the mistake of writing Bly off a couple of times in this game, but I'm thinking Protoss fans can start getting comfy. This is going to be a tough hold. Zerg's going to need to get some great fungals. Feedback is available to MaNa. Bly's going to try for a sandwich. Here we go! It's a Storm and Force Field combo. That kills a lot of Banelings. Bly does land the first fungal. Biles up, they hit! Somehow Protoss has taken the worst of this so far. Bly's going to pounce for the flank. Biles are dropping in the kill zone, but so are the Storms! Oh, the Ravagers were shredded! Bly orders 44 Zerglings, and his Corruptors have arrived. But that death ball is marching through practically unopposed. The Corruptors are going to try to focus down a carrier, but MaNa's on top of his third. Bly taps out. That was an enjoyable game. The ending may not have been very close, but the opening by both players was just fantastic. We get to see MaNa with the great defense to Bly's opening attempt at trickery. From there, it's not really possible for MaNa to do anything standard, and he probably had to improvise, but he more or less did a double Stargate with a side order of resonating glaives. It was kind of like something Zest might do. After MaNa's first push, Bly fell far behind. He showed signs of battling his way back, and even grabbed a supply and income lead at one point, but MaNa's superior tech let him transition into the late game Protoss death ball. Zerg's not happy with that fight at the best of times, and coming in at partial strength is definitely not the best of times. Oh, I did want to get a look at the Disruptor Infestor death animation, but I'm not going to lie here, we've seen better. It turns out the giant slugs die in a sluggish fashion. Who would have seen that coming? Following a deadly Zealot warp in, the Infestors are pulled back to defend. But surprise, that Warp Prism still got a Disruptor inside. Yes, those Infestors do get their revenge. But here's that zoomed in slow-mo that I'm so obsessed with. Once there were 6, and just like that, now there are 3. Meh, it was okay. Just not as cool as the game we just watched. Which is why me thinks we ought to get to the next one. Adjutant, if you would, please.
The game begins now.
You're allowed to exhale. There is a drone being made. It's not another 12 pool. I'm not going to guarantee that something crazy isn't going to happen, but you probably have time to get a beer out of the fridge. And if you're a minor, you should not be drinking, young man. And what are you doing watching violent video games? For shame! We've got a low ground pylon for Protoss, and you better believe that MaNa's going to scout right away. I mean, it's possible that MaNa will be our cheeser, but I don't think that's what we're seeing. Drone number 14, though, is not headed for the mineral line. It's coming down the ramp, and it's rallied to head way up north. So there will be something unconventional happening. So I just can't tell you what it is. I can tell you that the probe scout is too late to see it. This drone may be a fake. I can never know for sure if Bly actually meant to put a hatch down and it just got blocked, or if he's just putting on a show for MaNa like I think he did in Game 1. Maybe he can even force out another blocking pylon, which he just did. So I think this is all part of Bly's plan, but who can say? Whoa, where did Bly's money go? And now it's back. That was a glitcher. I totally missed something. Bly goes for the proxy hatch. MaNa with the block. You tried this last game, he says. And this time, MaNa intends to win the worker battle. Bly takes another try to get that hatch down, but he cannot. There's 2 probes he has to escape with his new life as an extractor. The Zerg are big believers in reincarnation. It's all very zen. Desperate to get a second base down somewhere, Bly's gonna settle for an unnatural natural at the triangular third. He then cancels that extractor at the Protoss natural, pops up to the main. Oh, MaNa suspects a gas cap. He's gonna beat him. MaNa is completely on point. He is pro-blocking everything that Bly's trying to serve tonight. Zerg's been foiled at every turn, and he just doesn't know Bly. Our Protoss player is an Austronesian concept of power. He is MaNa! If anyone can recover from this suboptimal start, it's Bly. He's got his extractor pool and he started his third. Oh, look at that, a double extractor trick using a spore. For those of you who aren't familiar, that's a technique that Zerg can use to make more drones when they're supply capped. You make a couple drones into structures, you order a couple more drones, and then you cancel, getting those original drones back. You pay for the cancellation cost, but you hope the extra mining is going to get it back for you. Seeing how Bly's actually an accountant, he's probably done the math. Oh, MaNa flushed out that hidden probe. It's going to try to hide as an extractor, but that's not going to work. And speaking of math, that Zealot's DPS is going to focus it down. A Stargate's on the way for MaNa, also warp gates, and an Adept. Bly's getting ling speed and a gaggle of lings. A gaggle's an official term for 8. Let's all pretend I didn't just make that up. The first Adept is already at the Zerg base. The lings have arrived to attack the pylon, but that's going to give Protoss vision for the Adept to strike. The Adept says, you break it, you buy it. And no, you don't get the employee discount. Oh, there's more lings than MaNa counted on. Can Bly get it? It's close. No, the Adept shades away. There's just no creep connecting Bly's bases at the moment, and that's making it hard for his slow lings to operate. MaNa's Adept links up with her twin sister. Double your pleasure, double your fun. Death to Zerg with psionic guns. And that, my friends, is why I don't have a hit rap album. Queen and Lings are keeping the Adepts busy, but the Shade gets into the main. There's only one Queen to defend. The Adepts get a high ground position over the unnatural natural, but Bly has the drone pull. The Shade goes for the low ground, but MaNa cancels it. I'm faked out. The Adepts get behind the mineral line, force another drone pull, and then there's the recall. And to add salt to the wound, Bly just got supply blocked, which means that Void Ray just got a kill on an Overlord. Yes, it did. It has been a rough day at the office in the first 5 minutes of this game for Bly. He's gonna try some Floodlings. MaNa's enjoyed the luxury of controlling the harass. MaNa's going with Resonating Glaives again. Unlike with Game 1 though, this time he's adding 2 gates, going up to 4, and only a single Stargate. The Lings kill a probe, but they can't get surface area on those Adepts. MaNa was queuing minerals to build a Nexus, so Bly did slow down his third. That's something. Bly starts his lair tech. He's already showing signs of falling behind on tech. It didn't work out so well for him in Game 1. Oh, these Adepts are just carving up those Lings. Their bonus damage against light types is really coming into play, which is what the Oracle's Pulsar Beam does, by the way. It's normally used for zapping drones, but it's very effective against Lings. Resonating Glaives is going to finish up. Oh, MaNa's pushing out. That's 9 Adepts. No roaches, no banelings. This is going to be a tough hold. And MaNa, of course, doesn't even need to break him. He just needs to kill some drones. Bly orders 20 Lings to try to defend this. Oh, the Void Ray baits out a Queen, and now the Adepts are just going to murder it. Oh, MaNa, that was a nasty little bait and switch there. Bly actually has less Lings than there are Adepts. He's only got 4 Queens right now. MaNa has got to be smelling the blood. He drives off the Queen at the main, which is going to give him a clear run to the mineral line. Bly just does not have the tools to dislodge him. The Void Ray shows up, and Bly has to evacuate his probes. The Shade is gonna follow them. The Queens will have a few seconds to do some damage here. Can they reduce the Adept count? A new wave of Lings comes to help. It's a good surround. Bly may be doing the impossible here. He's losing a ton of Lings, but he is shutting this down. Only 2 Adepts get out alive. They dive for that mineral gap where they're safest, but they do not have the hit points to withstand the attack. Somehow Bly has held. Oh, and the reinforcements are going home. MaNa was shaken by that. 9 drone kills is more than you want, but that could have gone so much worse for Bly. Now he wants to see if he can counter here. Oh, a little bit of mispathing here. That's not ideal. Bly corrects it. These Lings are not backed by Queens. But other than an Oracle, the Protoss third is pretty undefended. Bly's going to get the construction probe, and then he's going to pull out. Oh, MaNa decides if Bly's attacking, he's going to counter after all. Bly still has nothing but Lings and Queens. He's gone for an infestation pit, but that's a long ways away. He has got his Queen count up to 6. That's something he can hang his hat on, and he starts that Baneling nest. MaNa's getting the Zealot leg upgrade. That's one way he can counter those Queens. He's also getting a Battle Duck. Archons is one way to counter Lings. MaNa's back in the main, and he sees the infestation pit and the Baneling nest. Oh, he's going after the infestation pit. There's nothing to stop him. MaNa's Void Ray supply caps the Zerg, and he's gonna lose his most advanced tech structure. Oh, this is turning into a bit of a beatdown. MaNa kills the Spore, which means the Void Ray can run free. There's the recall. The Queen's gotta get some kills. That 4-second freeze can be a gift. Here's Bly's plan to try to get back in this game. He's hoping for a big Baneling hit on that third. He does not have Baneling speed though. But if he can somehow surprise MaNa, 6 Banelings can do a lot. Oh, look at this Oracle's path. He sees it. A fantastic scouting effort by MaNa. He's killing the Banelings before they can even arrive. Bly splits them to try to save them. But no Banelings are going to survive. 0 probe kills. It's a disaster. I said it before, but MaNa is so on point. He's absolutely schooling them. His units are so much better at this point. He's a playground bully. Bly sees Archons. He's only got Lings. He single G's out. That wasn't a convincing win. It was a scientific proof. Hey, we haven't seen these guys in a while. Now, I'd love to recap this game for you, but I'm afraid I can't because I've decided to pretend it never happened. Now, because I am a curious cat, I did go back to find out why it was that Bly suddenly lost a ton of minerals in the beginning of that game. So at one point, for about 0.2 seconds, Bly decided to put a hatchery down at his lateral third. I didn't see that coming, because if he was going to do that, why did he have a drone lined up for a proxy at the Protoss Natural? I'm really not sure which was plan A and which was plan B, but whatever it was, MaNa absolutely had his number tonight. But as Rocky Balboa always says, it's not how hard you punch, it's how hard a punch you can take and still get up. Starcraft players have a ton of courage. They gotta face a lot of losses, and the ones like this, they probably sting. So for those of you who are still out there laddering, I salute you. I also want to salute MaNa. For those of you who don't know, in 2019, MaNa was humanity's official champion. AlphaStar, that's Google's DeepMind project. It's artificial intelligence that can play Starcraft. After AlphaStar went on to win 10 games in a row against human pros, it was MaNa who stepped up to the plate and won the final game. He single-handedly sent Skynet back to the drawing board. And for that, Team Humanity will always be very thankful. So from my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your StarCraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your StarCraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang StarCraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.